My name is Salvador MEDINA. I am in charge of institutional relationships of Banco Santander. Banco Santander, it's a big bank. I'm going to use 5 minutes to tell you, 1 minute to tell you that Banco Santander is one of the top 10 banks in the world. It's a bank which is present in 40 countries, but which is completely different to other banks in the world. It's the commitment with higher education. It's a very strange bank. It's a bank who decided about 16 years ago to support higher education like the main stream of the social corporate responsibility of the bank. So everybody knows that Banco Santander is a big bank, but nobody knows that Banco Santander is investing in higher education that nobody does. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is when we have meetings around the world, in China, in Russia, in United States, in UK, every part in the world, everybody asks why a bank is investing in higher education. I'm not going to speak to you about numbers and about what is the education market, but only to give you one very interesting data is that the second largest sector in the world in terms of economic movement, in terms of value, after telecommunication, it's education. So when you put a focus on one sector like education, you are putting your focus in the future of the different countries in which we are present. We are speaking about only the countries in which the bank is present, 23 million of students, 2.9 million of faculty and staff, 6,300 universities. I'm not speaking about China or Russia, which increase the number of universities and students, only in those countries in which the bank is present. So in terms of economic sector, in terms of the potential of the sector, education is very important. Second thing very interesting is that today everybody is speaking about education. 15 years ago, when I arrived to the bank, education was on the table of educators, but not in the table of the main people around the world. Today, everybody is speaking about education. Every single Davos, every single business meeting, every single social meeting, everybody speaks about education, not only higher education, but also primary and secondary education. So the good point for us is that if we have been investing in higher education in the last 16 years, I think that we made the right approach. In '96, we had the first agreement with one university. Well, you have there our new chairman. It's Ana Botín. She is succeeding Emilio Botín, who was the president of Banco Santander and the person who was committed to higher education. But the most important thing is that this is the slide in the bank in which you in the bank decided what are the 4 strategies that the bank is going to put for the next year. And it's very surprise for us, not for us because we work with education, is that the 4 pillar of the strategy of the bank is the supporting of the society of the future. It means Santander University. So it's not usual that you analyze the top 10 biggest banks in the world and you have one bank with good focus, like one of the 4 strategic areas in education. So why I'm telling to you this? Because today Banco Santander, I am speaking here on behalf of Banco Santander, is the #1 supporter of education around the world. This is the report given by Barkey Foundation on Davos, last Davos in February, in which they were with UNESCO. They have been selecting that only the #1 company in the world who is supporting higher education is Santander. After that, you have IBM, Telefonica, ExxonMobil, Target. Those are companies who are investing in higher education. Let me show you one very special thing. They speak about spenders. We consider that Banco Santander is investing every single euro that we are, or US dollar or renminbi that we are putting on higher education, we consider like investment, not like a spender, like expenditure. So Banco Santander is the #1 company in the world who supports education. Well, what we are doing, it's very simple. The first thing is that we have a network that nobody has. We are speaking about 1,183 agreements with universities in 20 countries. You will see the map of the agreements. You will see that there is countries who are represented on this Congress in which we haven't any kind of relationships. We only make agreements in those countries in which we have presence. We don't want to sign an agreement and leave the country. We want to make agreements that we are going to follow. So we have 1,183 agreements in 20 countries. And second big thing is We support the universities in their needs. I've been hearing the presentation of the president of the Chinese universities speaking about internationalization, speaking about mobility, speaking about networking, modernization of universities. Those are the areas in which we are cooperating with universities. The third thing very interesting is that we have been doing during the last 18 years. We have made a lot of fails. In 18 years, believe me that we have made all the mistakes that you can imagine. But today, the good thing is that we are 2,100 people just dedicated to work with universities. We are not a department. We are not a small group of people to work with universities. 2,000 people in the bank are completely, fully dedicated to support and to work with universities around the world. So if you go to Brazil, in Brazil, for example, we have 400 agreements with universities. We have a team of 1,100 people to support these agreements. We have 663 branches in the campus because at the end we are a bank, and the universities usually ask that why you don't provide financial service to my students. But my main objective is not sell products or services. This is my compromise with the society. There is nothing related with money or with financial products. Very interesting. Look at this number. We have been investing 1.1 billion euros in support higher education. There is no other companies in the world who are supporting universities in that way. And finally, and very interesting, we believe that if we create value for the universities, we are creating value for the Banco Santander too, or shareholders, or employees, or customers. Everybody is very happy that, very proud that we invest in higher education. The main problem that we have, and you will see now at the end of the presentation, is that nobody knows the real impact that Banco Santander is doing with higher education around the world. Look at this. This is my favorite slide because it seems my last 18 years traveling around the world. Where I'm going to begin for Argentina, for example, we are speaking about 78 agreements. It represents around 85% of the students' population of Argentina, 100% of Chile, 100% of Uruguay, 455 agreements in Brazil, 85% of the Brazilian population is represented with our agreements, 24 in Colombia, 39 now in US, 74 in UK, 117 in Spain, only 11 in China, because China is very big for us. We have agreements with the famous G9, but we are trying to increase our cooperation. The problem is that the Banco Santander is not very well positioned in China. We are not a commercial bank there, so we don't want to make more agreements again in those countries in which we haven't present. But if you analyze this slide, you will see that we have 1,200 agreements. If you ask to one university in those countries if they have agreements with Banco Santander, you can ask about what we are doing with them. Let me tell you something interesting. When we speak about 1,200 agreements, some people think that we only have agreements with private universities. 60% of the agreements is with public universities, 40% of the agreements with private, 22 hospitals, and 85 foundations. Very interesting. Again, the president of Chinese University has said before, where are the main things that we are doing with universities? If you put this slide in every single university in the world, you will see that all the priorities are common in the universities. And it's not a success of the bank. It's because you, the universities, tell to the bank what are your priorities. So first thing is creation of entrepreneurial environments. This is not anymore creation of startups and entrepreneurs. It's creation ecosystems of entrepreneurial things in which the university plays a key role in the development in the area. Not only generation of entrepreneurs or startups, it's much more than this. Second thing is internationalization. Everybody is speaking about internationalization, but in internationalization is not only bringing a student or sending students or bringing faculty and sending faculty. It's much more than this. It's connecting universities to make programs happen. Third, very interesting line, it's modernization of universities. Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to be in the new leap because the students are putting on the classroom much more than the university usually have in terms of technology. We are speaking, for example, that we are emitting, and nobody knows, what the university smart card for 350 universities. We are speaking about 7 million university smart cards. This is not a financial card. It's a smart card in which the students are, in this moment, having 45 different academic services. This is the university smart card that the university provides to the students. On top of that is the bank developing this thing. And finally, very interesting is the university social responsibility area. Everybody's speaking about we are going to measure what is the impact of the university in the society. So we are trying to help the university supporting projects to do these kind of things. Well, let me put you a couple of examples. Very interesting. Again, this slide, if you show this slide and you change the logo of the Banco Santander and you change this and you present in every single university in the world, all the universities have this kind of priorities. Why we are putting this? Because every year we put in one congress like this, all the rectors, all the presidents of universities, who has agreements with us, and we ask them, what are your priorities? And for example, we have this is the last report, is Carta Universidad Rio 2014, was produced on July 2014. It's a 15 pages report in which you can find all the priorities of the Latin American universities for the next 5 years. If you want, I will, with Mr. Romagosa, I will share this information. Well, we are investing 1.1 billion euros, 1,100 million euros. Where we are putting this money? We are putting 20%, around 20% in innovation and entrepreneurship, 51% in scholarships, national mobility and international mobility, technology and modernization 20%, and specific academic programs with universities 13%. And it's this is the way that we are investing. I'm sure that in different countries it's going to change a little bit, but mainly we do the same thing in every single country in which we are present. What we are doing, you know, I've told you before, international scholarships, national scholarships, corporate programs, research programs, awards and recognition in different countries, training, entrepreneurship, thousands of initiatives. We are launching 4,000 projects per year with universities. So it's a huge amount of programs in different scopes. Let me put you a couple of examples, very interesting. This is a good thing and a bad thing for me. This is Maria Carcolé. Maria Carcolé is one student from Universidad Ramon Llull. Ramon Llull, she was an outstanding student. And to Maria Carcolé, we give the first Fernando Alonso scholarship about 5 years ago. It's a 5,000 euros scholarship. It's just for have 6 months outside of Spain to make a internship, excuse me, a scholarship. And when she finished, Maria Carcolé began to work in MIT because she made the scholarship in MIT to develop nanotechnology applied to sweets or something like this. I don't know exactly what is that, but after MIT, Maria Carcolé was hired like head of nanomaterials with a salary of $100,000, and then she was part of the Harvard MIT Biomedical Engineering Center in Edelman Lab, and then she was the DuPont Business Development Leader, and today she's working in the Jet Propulsion Lab in Caltech with NASA. No? Why I am putting to you this example? This is one example of the generation of value for Spain, the one scholarship that we are giving to one person. Well, this is another example. This is the winner of the Santander Entrepreneurship and Innovation Award in Mexico. Today, he's the founder of 2 companies of environmental things with MIT in US. But we are giving 28,000 scholarships like this per year. So the example of Maria Carcolé and the example of Jorge Elizondo, they are only 2 examples of the 28,000 scholarships that we are giving every year in different countries. If we analyze how many scholarships we have made, and this is the reason why my president is going to fire me, is that we have 2 stadiums like this. We have 2 stadiums of outstanding students in the last 10 years, in which we have given 200,000 scholarships for students and teachers and faculty. So imagine 2 stadiums like this, this is Maria Carcolé and he is Jorge Elizondo. So if you multiply the value that we are creating for the society, supporting higher education and supporting all the students and faculty around the world, you will see what is the impact that one program like this has in the international and national sphere. Let me put you a couple of pictures more, very interesting for me. This is a meeting of vice chancellors of UK vice chancellors, the top vice chancellor of the most important university in UK. Every year they put in one place, and they decided what are going to be the priorities of the university for the next years. And the person who is organizing this is Emilio Botín. Ana Botín is the new chairwoman of the bank, And it's almost impossible to have this picture with all the vice chancellor together. He was the former Minister of Education, David Willett, for Science and Technology. And he said, Banco Santander is an example for the rest of the bank on the world. And it's very interesting that one Spanish bank, very international, it's an example for the UK universities in this event. Let me this something unbelievable. This is the event in Rio de Janeiro. I told you that every 5 years we put all the rectors of the university that we have agreements with, and we put in one congress, and they told us what are going to be the priorities of the universities. The most interesting thing of this picture is every single person on this room is a president of one university. So we are speaking about 1,200 presidents of universities all together sit down in one place and deciding what is going to be what are going to be the priorities of the university for the next 5 years. Again, this document is available for all of you. It's in Chinese, in Portuguese, in Spanish, in all the different idioms. And believe me, it's very interesting because in 10 pages you have the priorities of the universities for the next 5 years. Well, I'm going to finalize with a couple of examples. This is Brown University. It's I think that a couple of people has been working here. This is the Viari. Viari, it's Brown International Advanced Research Centers. Every year they made a program like this in which we invite 150 young faculties around the world. We receive around 1,500 applications, and only 150 are during 10 days working at Brown, thinking about the global challenge of the world. So you have 5 streams, multilateral thing. For example, in one speak about water, natural resources, and problems of governance. So during 10 days, top 50 young faculties around the world. The Brown is the responsible of the selection of the participants, and they are thinking out of the box what is going to be the challenge of the university and the challenge of the society in this topic. Why I'm putting this? Because one of the streams, one of the 5 streams, is going to be agricultural. Is going to be agriculture and the relation with the development of the country. So I'm going to be delighted to see that maybe in the next years, people who is in this room maybe can be teachers or faculty or participant of this kind of events. In the last 5 years, around, not around, 750 young faculties around the world, they have created a network of researchers, and they are developing and thinking about the challenge of the future thanks to Banco Santander. So it's not usual that one bank do these things, and I think that we are not telling to the world that we are doing these things because nobody knows that the bank is behind these things. And finally, this is other favorite program for me. It's the Top China program. When I was visiting China, I haven't been visiting your university. I hope that next time I will be there. I was visiting Shanghai Jiatong University, and Shanghai Jiatong showed me about 5 years ago a campus completely empty, and told me, okay, Salva, I'm going to put here a center for environmental science and everything. And I want to make things with Brazil, but I don't know what things can I do with Brazil. And I said, why we don't create a current of interchange of knowledge between students and faculty, between Brazil and China. Today, Top China program, it's a program in which 50 Brazilian students, today it's 100 Brazilian students from the top 20 Brazilian universities related to environmental things. We moved these people to China. They spent 1 month in the Shanghai Jiatong campus developing and researching with 100 Chinese students, and every single student is followed with one faculty. So we have 50 students, 50 faculty, and they work with 100 Chinese students and 100 of Chinese faculty. So it's a unique opportunity because 95% of these people never has been out of Brazil, 92% never has taken a flight, and suddenly we move, but they are the best students in environmental things in Brazil. So in one day, they are moving from Brazil or from Paraná to Shanghai Jiatong. Now we are doing this program with Shanghai Jiatong, and we are doing with Beira and with Tsinghua too. So I would be delighted if in the next future maybe we can make things like this with Nanjing. But it's a unique experience because we are changing the life of these students. Believe me, when these students came back to their countries, we have changed the life because they have an open opportunity. They have open a new opportunities for everything. They have been researching in environmental things in China with the Chinese students, and behind that, there is a bank like this, who is Banco Santander. So I want to finish with the my last slide. Is if you ask me, Salvador, what is the success, or what is the reason of success? BBVA, or maybe Citibank, or Royal Bank of Scotland, or NatWest, or other banks in the world can do that, I will tell you that it's completely impossible. Because we have failed 14 years. We have made, I told you at the beginning, thousands of mistakes. I think that nobody wants to make mistakes today. But the reason of our success is because we have the support at the highest level of the bank. The president of the bank has decided that this is going to be a priority for the bank. Second thing is all the executive team, all the presidents of the universities are visiting universities around the world. We are a strategic branch in the bank. Of course, we are using the bank's financial muscle. We are speaking about one of the top 10 biggest banks in the world. The global presence of the bank, very important. And finally, the way that we work with universities. I am not a banker. I am a person who works in the banking system. But we speak with universities in his own language. We speak about international mobility. We're speaking about young faculty. We are speaking about whatever you want. So when Professor Romagosa asked to the bank, why you don't give us another vision about one institution can help to the universities to make things happen, I will be delighted if in the next months or years, a couple of universities who are present in this room can join and present to us a couple of projects and we can develop. We never try to finance local projects. We always look for the cooperation between universities. So our mission like a bank is support higher education. So it's a pleasure to be with you during today. And if you have any questions, I will be delighted to respond. Thanks for your time.
How can you convince some of the other banking organizations to follow your model? Because I think it's a wonderful model.
Well, if you ask me what is the success, the real success of my program is if in 5 years the Banco Santander can finance different initiatives with other banks. I think that banks, not only the banks, but also other companies and other institutions, I think that you have a good opportunity, and like university or like education institutions, you need to sell. Who is this? Believe me, I arrived to the bank in 2000 from all the completely different sector, and the first project in which I was incorporated was education things. And nobody was speaking about education. The teacher or the faculty of the universities were completely outside of everything. But today, after 15 years, the world has been changing. And today, education is a Christmas table issue. It's a Christmas table topic. Everybody speaks about education. And education is going to be a role. So my suggestion is that I don't need to convince. You need to convince using these arguments. Telling this, you have the the economists, you have the Financial Times, and you have Forbes, all of them speaking about education in the first page. So believe me that in the next years, we think, at least the next 4 years, everybody is going to speak about education. Politics, they are using education like a tool for everything. Business, they are speaking about how the education is going to impact the level of the business of the companies in the future. Everybody wants to make roundtable about what is going to be the impact of the higher education. So this is the most important thing. And the second thing, very interesting, is if you analyze the list of the companies who are investing in higher education, number one, it's Santander. Number two is IBM, who is telecommunication. Well, it's Informatica, it's systems. Telecommunication, ExxonMobil, Target, Glaxo, Microsoft, Toyota, Rio Tinto, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Westpac Banking, Cisco, Migros, and HSBC. So you have here, at least at the end of the list, you have at least 5 companies who are investing, not in higher education, but in education, maybe primary and secondary education. So you need to use this kind of arguments to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.